Kia ora, and welcome to the Beer Jerk Beer of the Week Drink Along. I'm Joe.
I'm Luke.
And this is, I was about to grab my glass, Tristan, a lime leaf table beer by your friends Small Gods.
That was quite an excited way that you just announced Tristan there. It's cheers. Maybe
Cheers.
Career in voiceovers ahead of you.
Perhaps.
Small Gods is us, with our great friend Matt, who's not available to join us this week. So once again, we'll just say whatever we like about Matt. He did play a pretty important part in the creating of this beer. Can't lie about that.
Yeah, he grew a whole lime tree.
Well, indeed, yeah. So, at Small Gods, we love brewing interesting beers. It's all about, I suppose, innovation, collaboration, a lot of culinary-inspired beers. We're interested in history and more unusual beer styles. And it's stuff that we're interested in, that we want to drink. We don't really think a lot about the commercial viability of beers that we're brewing. We don't really care how much they cost or whether people will want to buy them. Frankly, it's pretty small batches and they sell out pretty quick, and it's stuff that we're into, and we're into table beer. This is the 5th table beer from Small Gods?
Yeah, it's the 5th now. I'm thinking the first one might have been around this time in 2022.
Could have been.
So, yeah. I suppose this is a commercially viable release. We've
Well,
done 5 of them.
It goes, yeah. Table beers being a bit of a traditional Belgian beer style. There have been various iterations, and they're still not that popular. We see a couple around. I think now North End and McLeod's on table beers. That's
Yeah.
maybe about it.
Three Sisters did a sort of farmhouse.
Oh yeah, with that like wilding yeast.
Yeah.
Garage Project do one, but theirs is like a wild fermented. thing,
Yeah,
so quite
kind
different.
of a sour table beer. But that's the beauty of table beer, right? It's almost like saying ale. Sort of people at the bar, when I used to work bar shifts more often, would always ask sort of, what is a table beer?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like saying, what is an ale? You know, it can be a stout, it can be a IPA. In the same way, table beers can be sour. They can be dark, like our last release, Mordred.
Yeah.
They can be sort of really kind of what you would call Belgian character, so lots of esters, or they can be a 3% hoppy pale ale, like some of the examples in the UK, and even hazy. So yeah, it's a awesome sort of type of beer, I would say, rather than necessarily a style.
Yeah, and I suppose broadly for me, what we choose to define a table beer as is something that's full flavoured, and you're not missing out. It's something we've talked about a few times with when we put recipes together. We create a bit at the ABV that best fits the style and the ingredients. So at Small Gods, we will never do a low alcohol IPA. IPAs should be, well, modern IPAs rather than English ones, should be above 6.5%. It just needs the body of the alcohol to carry it. And in the same way that I personally don't want to eat a low-fat chocolate cake or sugar-free ice cream, a low-alcohol imperial stout isn't something I'm interested in personally. But for me, table beers are a lower alcohol beer that is still packed with flavour. So to make sure there's enough body, we generally use wheat in there to give it a decent mouthfeel. I hate the idea of drinking a thin, watery beer when it's something like this. And every table beer until now has been made with Belgian yeast. So you have had those esters and phenols that have given you some just great character to add to the whole experience of drinking a beer. And you're not getting a wishy-washy low-alc beer. It is the style, it's true to style. And this one is inspired by, so we've deviated in this instance, we've used a clean yeast. So you're getting bugger all yeast character, it's all about the hops and some of the malt character in this beer. So we've used a Kolsch yeast, interesting, well, I was going to say interestingly, it's interesting to me, maybe it's interesting to you that have used the Kolsch yeast. So it's clean, it's crisp, and taken big inspiration from an incredible London brewery called The Colonel, who, if you ever drank their beers, you may have noticed that with our artwork for this table beer series, We've taken inspiration from those guys as well. They just have the thin labels, and it is with craft paper for all their beers. And their table beers are they're pale ales, basically. They're like American pale ales, but lower alcohol.
That was where I first heard about table beer, and they're almost like the Sawmill Pilsner of the London restaurant world.
Yeah.
As in, like, you go to a restaurant, you don't expect craft beer, but they've got cans of Sawmill Pils.
Yeah.
And it's like every decent enough restaurant seemed to have Colonel Table. And yeah, it was just a rotating thing. It was, they just had
rotating hops.
the Colonel, table beer, and whatever the hop was. And that was all the info you got, and the ABV, obviously. And yeah, just an amazing, like, way to sort of communicate what the beer is for in that way of, like, we talk about food pairings a lot, and some beer does definitely lend itself to specific sort of intensities or types of meals, and table beer, I guess it's long meals, right? You just don't want the beer to interrupt the food or interrupt the conversation by people getting drunk. So it's like low ABV, easy drinking, but still holds its own, and you just want a jug of it to share, or 2 jugs.
Yeah, and here's the thing, pairing a beer with food and also with an experience. I often talk about TV beer, which is, a beer that you can just like sip over an hour and a half while you're watching a great movie. And this is beer to be shared, and sometimes I think about how lovely tea is, just English breakfast tea. And it's a thing you can spend a lot of time thinking about, or just smash 8 cups a day. And beers like this, it's not pretentious, it's not over the top. You don't need to sniff it and think too much about it. I think pretty much anyone would enjoy drinking a beer like this, and hopefully the connoisseurs amongst us, obviously you're on YouTube watching a beer video, so you're probably one of those people, is really going to get something more out of it and appreciate the hard work and craft that went into it, and the lime leaves, the interesting hops.
Yeah, so I think Matt has wanted to do this one for a very long time, hasn't he? He's been nagging about this beer.
He did a couple of test batches as homebrews that tasted delicious, so we've just been waiting to slot it into the schedule. You need to harvest leaves off a lime tree in springtime, and when they're tasting their best. So managed to harvest them off the tree, get them tinctured. Yeah,
and they play so well with the Sorachi Ace hops. So Sorachi Ace is a very Vegemite hop. Brewers sort of tend to shy away from it. You don't really see much Sorachi Ace at all.
There's a lot of haters.
I think is Sabro its kind of son or daughter?
I'm not sure about the Sabro link.
Yeah,
that's Neo-Mexicanus parent, at least one parent.
Yeah, so Sabro's a similar sort of coconutty, little bit herbal, bit of citrus, and a little bit earthy kind of hop. But Sorachi Ace was kind of the original in that space.
Well, I think it was, probably should have looked this up before the video. I think it was developed in the 1980s in Japan for mass market beers. So I think it may have been Sapporo that it was developed for.
Right.
Perhaps. So it's a bit like in that way, the Japanese Green Bullet, which is the famous New Zealand hop, which is really delicious. But which is used in green bottle lagers and is often sort of skunked by the time you drink it. In something like a Stein lager is a great example of green bullet hops. But actually, people would sort of look down on it. You wouldn't really. I don't know if I've had an IPA with green bullet hops. It's kind of
no.
Like it would be really tasty.
Yeah.
So it got a bit of a sort of renaissance as people sort of discovered this really unique, weird Japanese hop, and lots of people really hate it.
Yeah, and I suppose, breweries who don't treat beer the way we treat beer, the accountants might say, absolutely not, no one's going to drink it. But yeah, we sort of wanted that coconut character to play with the lime leaf.
Lime and the coconut.
Yeah, and it does that amazingly. And then
Alani.
A bit of Alani hops as well, yeah. So that's a pretty young hop out of America.
I don't know of any New Zealand brewers that have brewed with Alani. Surely someone has, but no one's made a thing out of it that I've come across. I think they were released in 2022.
Oh wow, yeah, so very young.
Brand new.
So yeah, as part of we see the NZH 106s and 101s and 105s here. Obviously, all the hop farms in America are doing the same kind of breeding programs and things like that.
In the world.
Yeah, so would have come from Yakima quality hops, bred it, everyone loved it, they worked with some breweries, kind of made sure it was going to be viable and then released it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that brings a lot of sort of citrusy notes to this, a little bit of kind of tropical undertones, like in a kind of slightly jammy way.
I read that the name came from somebody involved with the development in the farm. A family member called Melanie died, so to honour her, they called the hop Eleni. So obviously the middle letters of the name Melanie, which is a pretty cool name.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, it's like Nectar Ron being a tribute
to Ron Patterson. Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that because it just kind of says what it smells like without calling it nectarine.
Creating new words.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And yeah, pairs well with the lime leaf, sort of the lime, the coconut, the citrus, maybe some tropical passion fruit in there. As I say, it's not going to whack you around the head. It's an easygoing beer, but there's a lot in there to discover. And the lime leaves were from Matt's trees. He harvested them in his garden. I don't know if they're organic.
I presume they would be. Matt doesn't seem like a chemical sprayer, but
yeah, he's not a very avid gardener, to be honest. I couldn't imagine he could be bothered spraying anything with anything. So yeah, they'll be pretty natural lime leaves from his lime tree, which is now fruiting lots of limes. He gave me a bag of limes at the weekend, which is great.
Wow.
So
we should brew a beer with them.
Maybe we'll brew a beer with some limes as well. Yeah, just really milk that freaking tree. Get his money's worth.
The fourth small god.
MVP. Tristan.
Oh no! I thought we'd escaped it.
Hope you've got another half hour. So a couple of weeks ago, we drank Fafnir's Horde, and I mentioned Wagner's Ring Cycle and the Dragon and all that. But something I hadn't really thought about until afterwards is that he did a famous opera, which is Tristan and Isolde. Which I definitely wasn't thinking of that when we sort of came up with these two recipes at the same time. I'm not a big supporter of Wagner and his ideologies whatsoever. Some good music, but yeah, the anti-Semitism, we do not stand behind at Small Gods. So Tristan was a Cornish knight. Interestingly enough, our series of table beers are all named for the Knights of the Round Table. And I remember me and Matt came up with the idea, and we're like, why has no one come up with this? It's so obvious. So some of the previous beers we've done have been, this is Gawain. He battled the Green Knight. So this is the Star of Gawain. That's his sigil that was on his shield and his flag and things that you may have seen on some of the Small Gods glasses that you may or may not have stolen from our bar. And this was Mordred, who was sort of the black sheep of the night. So that was our black dark table beer. He was sort of linked to ships in his story. So Tristan was a Cornish knight, and the story was that he fell in love with the Irish Isolde, and they quite a convoluted story. I won't get into it, but a love potion was involved in them falling in love. So that's what the little bottle on the label is. That's a bottle of love potion.
It's not working.
Yeah, this beer will not have the same effects. 100%. That will not happen. So hope you enjoy it. I think we're going to carry on making table beers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
And
start.
see you at the Fridge and Flagon this Saturday, the 6th.
This Saturday, what's happening, Joe?
Fresh Hop Festival.
Oh,
So
biggest day of the year.
Yeah, we have an awesome lineup of 6 Fresh Hop taps.
Yep.
Not going super boring with pale ales and IPAs. We're mixing
It's eclectic.
It up. Yeah. And there might even be a Small Gods release or 2 on tap, depending if the kegs get kegged in time.
Watch this space. Yeah, may see some new releases. So that's
so should be a great day. We got the DJ spinning vinyl and
Total Spritz,
big
Soul Records.
Mum's Brew Kitchen.
He's not big.
No,
Brew Kitchen.
No, there was a company in the UK called Big Mums, but no. Drex is Mum's Brew Kitchen. He makes amazing sort of low and slow style barbecue. So he's running a burger menu. So sort of brisket burgers, mushroom burgers for our veggie friends. We got like mean wings, like smoked wings that he's then like finishing over the coals and glazing. So it should be an awesome day of beer and food and music.
Yeah.
We have a lot more glasses delivered now. Thanks
to replace the ones that have been stolen.
Yeah, thanks to all of these going missing. So that's awesome, and yeah.
Awesome lineup of fresh hop beers. I know the fresh hops have been staggered this year, which for us as shopkeepers is really annoying because we do our fresh hop mix box each year. And it used to be that there were only a couple of hop farms and all the beers came out at the same time, but as hop farms the length of the country and as they ripen, they just get brewed at different times. So it's spread over like almost 2 months.
Yeah, like all the Riwaka, Motueka was harvested like 4 weeks ago now. So there's heaps of releases with those in them. And then all your other kind of hops, Waimea, Nectaron, things like that, Nelson Sauvin, they're sort of being harvested last week, this week.
Yeah, they're underway.
So those beers are getting brewed. So we didn't want to just fill the box with the same hops and get it shipped. So we've got 9 different hop varieties in the box.
Major.
So unfortunately, that does mean that it's shipping sort of towards the end of April as those last couple of beers come in. But you know, you don't want to miss the best just because you're in a rush. So.
Yeah, so the fresh hop box, we've just sent out the emailer about it, so check that out. So that's got all 12 beers listed now. We haven't actually announced them previously. So that's got bangers from Garage Project, from Southpaw, from Emporium.
Shining Peak, that Gung Ho.
Yeah, that was the winner. And so these are beers, so we carefully put it together, these 12 beers in the box, but they're beers that are impossible for you to buy easily. If you went to 6 different shops, brewery websites, and other e-commerce sites, perhaps, yeah, you would find them if you went to 6 different places, including the brewery websites. But that's the only way that you'll get this collection of the best of the fresh hop beers. Obviously, we haven't drunk them yet. Most of them haven't been brewed. But knowing from the past many years, we were the first people in the country to do the Fresh Hop Festival and to put together the Fresh Hop boxes. So yeah, we've got a good idea of what's what, and it's going to be a brilliant box. So that's going to be shipping from about the 22nd of April. As you'll see in the email that we just sent out, we've pre-sold more than 80% already, so get your order in for that to not miss out. And yeah, you can get a sneak taste of a lot of the Fresh Hop beers on tap here for Fresh Hop on Saturday. So it's a free festival, we have to pay for the beers, across 3 different venues. So it's from midday on Saturday, it's here, it's over the road at Galbraith's, and it's probably 15-minute walk down the road to the Lumsden.
Yeah, like a 3-minute lime scooter.
Yeah.
If you're still sober.
Yeah, don't drink and lime. So yeah, really fun day. The other venues got cool stuff happening as well, gonna be a whole bunch of good beers. So yeah, get the gang together, make a day of it.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
All right, well, here's your backup beer, Joe.
Oh yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See you next time.